Cool. Perfect. Let it load. So I'll be not clicking anywhere so that let's see. Okay. So let me just, there are multiple things, right? So I'll create just one more type, the new folder, and this is the demo workspace. Okay. Workspace. Okay, I'll just keep it as demo workspace. Okay. And then I'll select the same. Okay. Cool. Right. So by default, if you guys are doing it installation for very first time, you do not need to worry because in my system, I do have multiple versions of it, like multiple versions of Eclipse. So that is why in the first attempt, like it is causing me issue. But yeah, in your case, it will work. Okay, fine. Cool. So there is a welcome window, right? So for very first time, we'll see this welcome window and all. Okay. So cool. We just need to close it. Right. And I'll open the notepad so that we can track all the steps. Okay. Cool. So see, first step, we have done the installation. So what all installation we have done till the time? Git we have done, right? Then we have created, let's assume the GitHub account. Then we have downloaded Eclipse, right? And also we have downloaded JDK. Okay, cool. So currently we were discussing about the Eclipse. Okay. So we just now installed the Eclipse, right? So now let me check whether the Java version is present or not. And if yes, what is the version number for my Java, right? So currently we did, let's say downloaded the JDK and we can just go next and do the installation guys. Okay. No additional stuff is required. So if I go here, let me just cross check my previous setup. So if I go here and if I do Java hyphen version, you'll see in my system previously I have installed JDK 17. Okay, JDK 17. In your case, as your system is a fresh system, right? You guys can go ahead and download the 25 version. I did mention, right? So I'll not be doing the redo installation for JDK because it will again cause an issue, for the setup. But I'll just showcase how to download JDK one more time. Okay, cool. So we just need to navigate here. We just need to choose the latest version. Go to the Windows and just click on one of the set file. Just click on next, and installation. That are the pretty straightforward steps. Okay, cool. So once installation is done for like JDK, then we need to cross check for the environment variables. Okay. So we just need to type env. So it will open the system variables. Over here, we do have option like environment variables, right? We need to set up the path. So let me show you the path and all. So if I open this and if I go to here, you'll see Java home and I already do have JDK 17 versions, right? So that is why it is showing me on the CMD command prompt over here. You'll see I have provided my Java home path. I have set it. So that is why it is recognizing the Java version using CMD. So if we have not set up the path, so it won't recognize it. Okay, it will show some sort of error. So we need to make sure we are setting this particular path where our JDK is installed, right? So that path particularly we need to set it up. One more thing we need to set it up, that is the path. If I click on edit, you'll see somewhere here the Java home. We need to provide the bin folder path, Java home /bin folder. So two steps we need to do. First step, we need to set the home, Java home, where our Java is installed. Second thing, we need to set the path so that we can use it anywhere within our system, right? So these two steps we need to do it explicitly. Cool. So I'll be not disturbing current setup so that we'll continue, further, right? So those two steps we need to perform. Once those path and all is done, we just need to click it OK, and we are ready to move further. See, once the two steps done, then you'll see the Java version. Okay. And also, if I show you here Java compiler version, you'll see in my system currently the version 17 is installed. Okay. So that is why it is showing the perfect versions here, right? So let's assume our setup is done, right? If I navigate back here, okay. So let's assume our all setup steps are done. We do have Git account. Sorry, we did install the GitHub account. Then the Eclipse we do have and JDK. Now it's time to create the project. See, so it's time to create the project. Okay. And what is our target or what is our goal? To do the web automation. That is what our goal, right? And for doing the web automation, which framework, tools, and technology will be referring to framework? So for that reason, we will be using the Java as a programming language. We'll be using Eclipse as a IDE for writing our test script. We'll be using TestNG for doing the assertions, validations, right? That is the purpose of particular TestNG, right? Then we'll be using Maven for the build management, right? And once our entire setup is done, we'll be writing our test case, we'll be executing it locally. Okay, so in order to debug or in order to trace any failure, we'll be adding loggings. Okay, logging to our framework. Also, let's say our entire test suite is executed and we would like to know, how many test cases pass, how many test cases fail, and we would like to share those report with the stakeholders. So for that reason, we'll be adding report, right? So till here, our local setup is done. Like we are good with the execution on the local side. Then we'll be moving further one more step and we'll be setting up CI pipelines. That is the continuous integration pipeline. Why we would be needing it? Because let's say we would like to run it every day at certain time, So for that reason, we'll be creating the CI pipelines and we'll be executing them depending on our need. Okay. So for particular setting up pipeline, we can use either Jenkins or we can use the GitHub Actions. Okay. Both the tools are free, but I'll try to showcase the GitHub Actions because those are kind of free and very easy to set up. Okay. Cool. So this is what our goal, guys. So let's create the project first and then we'll try to add all the dependency. Okay. So what is the first step inside the project creation? That is the create Maven project. So what is the need of Maven project? It will provide us the pom.xml file, and with the help of this particular pom.xml file, we'll able to manage our dependencies, right? So let's move ahead with the project creation. See, go to new, right? And over here, you'll see the Maven project. So I'll be just selecting the project. I'll be keeping it very simple. I'll be not selecting any archetype for now. So group ID, we need to provide the group ID here, which is something like this, .com domain name. Let's say, okay, this is what my website for an example, okay? Domain name, learnwithdd.com, okay? So likewise, within this fashion, we can write our group ID, okay? And what is the product or what is the model we are targeting? Currently, we are targeting the web automation, right? So over here, I'll just provide the simple name, web automation project. I'll just keep it artifact ID is simple, and rest things I'll keep as it is and I'll click on finish. Cool. You'll see our project is added here, web automation project. And on the bottom side, you'll see the progress, guys. Okay. Now it is trying to create the project, Maven project inside your Eclipse. Once entire progress is done, then only we ideally should be moving further, else it will just hang the system. Okay. So we need to make sure we are following it very step by step. Now you'll see my project structure is created. ESRC main Java, ESRC main resources, ESRC test Java, ESRC test resources, and other folders as well. And over here in the bottom, you could see here form.xml file is also generated. And this is just sample template, guys. Okay, we need to add further more dependencies to it. So let it complete on the config side. Okay. So meanwhile, I'll try to explain further more steps. Okay. So we do not need this one. Okay, I'll navigate back here. See, we did created Maven project. Now it's time to update the dependencies. Okay, update the dependencies in form.xml file. See, from where to update, I'll explain step by step. See, we have installed Java, we have installed Eclipse. Now it's time to have the dependency for TestNG Selenium. Selenium is the important component, guys, here, right? Selenium WebDriver. Okay, which will help us to do the web automation, right? So I'll be navigating again back to the Google, and over here I'll be going to the Google, and I'll be searching for Maven repo, which is the central repository for managing the dependencies, right? And first I'll be typing here Java Selenium. See, I'll be referring to the latest version. I'll be going here, and you'll see here, if I scroll it down, you'll see here the latest version is available, which is published on 20 of Feb, right? But I'll be just referring to one bit stable version, that is 4.40. Cool. So I'll go here and I'll just click. See here, there are different versions. We can have the different tools for building, but currently we have created the Maven project, so that is why I'll be referring to Maven. Okay, cool. So if I navigate back, so over here about the ending project tag, we need to add dependencies, right? Currently we are working on dependencies, right? So I need to first create the dependencies tag. So within this tag, first dependencies I'll be adding, that is the Selenium Java. Second dependency I'll be referring, that is the TestNG. Okay. Sorry, I'll just type it correctly. TestNG. Right? Cool. And you'll see it is coming from org.testng, right? If I scroll it down, I'll be just picking one version down, and I'll see, depending on compatibility, we can change the version later. Okay, cool. So below the Selenium Java, I'll be adding this dependency, and then I'll be saving the project. Okay, as soon as I save the project or file, it will just try to download those dependencies. Cool. So now next thing, see, for our setup things, we would be needing Selenium, right? We would be needing TestNG, logging and reporting. So logging and reporting, I'll be adding later. First, let's try to create, very basic test case like launch the browser and verify title. Okay. Then later we'll move towards the logging, reporting and CS stuff. So for now, let's keep it simple. So currently we did added dependencies and we did save the file, right? So cool. So now let me just validate whether the dependencies were correctly added or not. Now you'll see here there is one more folder is there now, Maven dependencies, right? If I expand it, you'll see the current dependencies were added successfully. So let me just show you. Okay. So if I scroll it up, you'll see there are certain dependencies. Do you see, guys? Now we do have drivers, Chrome driver and other drivers like Edge driver, Firefox driver. So with the help of form.xml, currently we are downloading those jar files basically within our Maven project. So that is the main use case, guys. Why we are going with the Maven project, because it will help us to do the dependency management. And also over here in the bottom, you could see TestNG is added with respective versions. Cool. Perfect. So the dependency step is done. Now what I'll do, I'll try to create the project structure. Okay. So next step, see, till here we did created our project and we did added dependencies. Cool. Now in the next step, I'll be moving ahead, okay, with further one more step ahead. That is now project creation, the project structure creation basically. Cool. Okay. So I'll just add here project structure. See, project structure. See, inside project structure, I'll be referring to one strategy. Inside SRC main Java, okay, I'll be adding my pages, okay. I'll be having my util files, okay. I'll be having my util files and other codes which I'll be reusing across my, you know, entire structure, right? So that is why I'll be having those, class files under the, SRC main Java, and under SRC main resource, SRC main test, I'll be having my actual test classes. Okay, I'll be having actual my test classes from where I'll be doing the execution. And on project level, I'll be having two main files, form.xml and testng.xml. Form.xml referring to the dependency management, and testng.xml for the execution purposes, right? So I'll try to create the particular structure. So I think, okay. So I'll try to create this structure. Now, please observe here. Now I'm going to build the project structure. So inside SRC main Java, I'll be going to new packages. And over here, first package I'll be creating. Okay, so we can follow certain, standard nomenclature. Okay, so let's say this is the learn with DD. I'll just provide the shortcut for my domain name, and this is the web project, right? And within this particular web automation project, I'll be adding my first package for pages. Like I'll be writing my page object models over here. Okay, page classes here. So next package I'll be adding com dot, okay, learn with DD dot web dot, and this is for utils. Let's assume this package is for utils, right? So likewise, currently I simply did added two packages. Okay. Similarly, I'll be moving to the SRC test Java, and I'll be adding two packages here. Okay, later I'll add class to it. So com.util website, then it is the web project, and over here I'll be adding my first package, that is the test. Okay, test. And okay, so cool. Perfect. So see here, currently I just did added three, packages. So now let's assume we'd like to do the, we'd like to do the testing, right? So for that reason, we would like to have the certain classes, right? So I'll just add one class here, a test class here, and later I'll modify it. Okay. So I'll simply name it as, okay, open URL test. I'll simply name the class as open URL test. Okay. Very simple test, just to open the URL and maybe verify the title. Okay. Let's see. Okay. See. And then later I'll refactor the test. Okay. So for now, I'll be not using TestNG. I'll just try to see if my main method is working fine. And later I'll go with the TestNG. Okay. So over here, I'll be simply adding printing statement just to make sure my project is up and running correctly, right? This is the main method. Okay, cool. So if I go here to the run button, you'll see if my dependency and everything is done. So it will try to execute the main method, and the output will be there. That is, hey, your main method is running successfully. Cool. Perfect. So now I'll just comment it out. My basic setup thing is done. Now I'll try to create the TestNG test. And for that reason, we would be needing @test annotation. And you'll see here, the test annotation is coming from org.testng annotations, right? So I'll be just providing the annotation here. I'll be adding a test method public void open URL. Okay. I'll be just providing the test case name, and I'll be creating a method. Now you'll see I have added one TestNG annotation here and created one test method. So In order to open URL, prerequisite is needed, right? Browser instance is needed, right? So first step is simply open browser, right? Open browser. Let's assume we are interested in Chrome. Okay. And second step, let's assume it is simple like enter the URL. Okay. Enter the URL. So those two steps only currently let's assume we are targeting. And in order to open the browser, we'll be referring to WebDriver interface, right? WebDriver is basically interface. And if I hover mouse over here, you'll see it is coming from Selenium. It is the Selenium component, right? WebDriver. Cool. And I'll be just naming it as driver, new Chrome driver. Cool. See. So with the help of this syntax, we'll able to launch our uh, browser, Chrome browser, right? Okay, so cool. In the fine. Okay. I'm not sure why it is showing issue, but that's fine. It is just kind of spell issue. Okay, cool. Second is to open the URL, right? So for that, we do have syntax driver.get, right? So over here, I'll be passing URL. So let me open a sample URL here. Okay, I'll be navigating back here. Login website demo. I'll be just picking one, currently the publicly available URL for now. So let's assume I'll be targeting this URL. So for now, I'll be just trying to, make the best setup ready. And on top of that, we can build our custom made framework for our respective projects or any publicly available URL. Okay, cool. See, so I did added those steps and let's assume I would like to capture the title, right? So for that reason, I'll be creating a one variable and I'll be having actual title and driver dot get title is the method which will help us to get fetch the title and I'll be simply printing it. Okay, so the page title is okay and I'll be just printing the actual title. Later we'll do the validation and all. So let me see if my TestNG test is working or not. So I'll be just clicking here on the run button and now let's try. Okay, so has encounter issues. Okay, so do you see this issue is something related to the versioning? Okay, so invalid version and it is something related to the Java. So let me just fix it. Okay, I'll add one more package here, form dot learn with TD dot. This is, let's say, utils package. Cool. Okay. And inside SRC test, I'll be moving further com dot. Okay, the domain name and the package name basically. Okay, tests, for example. Okay, we can follow lengthy syntaxes as well, like the web, so that in future we can have the APIs and other packages, but for now I'll be just keeping it simple. Okay, cool. So see, I'll go here, and before that I need to again now download the dependencies. Okay, so let me just quickly add those dependencies. Perfect. I'll navigate here, right? Maven repo. Okay. Java Selenium is the first dependency we would be needing. I'll scroll it down. I'll pick this particular version, go back, save it. Now I'll search for second version, TestNG. Okay. TestNG, I'll scroll it down. Then I'll pick the dependency here and I'll save it here. Okay, cool. So this is how I'll be downloading my dependencies, right? Now I'll go to my package, test package, and over here I'll simply add one test, open URL test. Cool. Again over here, I'll just check if main method is working fine, and then we'll go with the test engine. Okay. So this is kind of checks I'll be doing while doing the setup. So main method, so that we can easily figure it out what is the issue and how to resolve it. Cool. My main method is working, right? So for now, I'll just remove it. I do not want it, right? We would need TestNG for writing our test scripts. Public void open URL. So this is what my first test case, right? So two steps only we are performing. Open the Chrome browser. Okay, and second step, open the URL. Fine. So let's try to create the WebDriver instance. Chrome driver instance, right? Which is referring to your WebDriver parent, and then open the URL driver.get, and I'll be passing URL here. Okay, so let's assume this is what my login URL. Cool. Okay, so let's maybe check two steps only. Okay, and later we can add the validation and all. Perfect. Let me just check if my TestNG test is working or not. Oh my god, previously it was working and now it started complaining. What is happening? See. Okay, cool. So see here, we started added the dependencies. There was something version related issues. Okay, that is why it was causing an issue. So over here we do have the Selenium dependencies and the TestNG dependencies. Also other dependencies, but currently I'm not going to use it. Okay, cool. So see, if I click on here, you'll see our TestNG test is being executed here. Okay, and browser is open and user will navigate to the URL. Cool. So that is the basics, setup we need to create so that now we are good to build our actual framework. Okay. So that is the prerequisite. Till here clear, guys? Yes. Cool. So see, there might be, we might face multiple issues while doing the first set of things, but yeah, later it will be much easier. Okay, cool. Perfect. Now let's focus on this particular project only. Okay. Okay. So this is the last project, web automation project. So see, currently we did added one sample test, right? So let's say I would like to automate entire login scenario. Then I need to create another class. Okay. So I'll be going here and I'll be creating class and later I'll build framework on top of this. Okay. So let's say this is the login test I'd like to perform. Now please observe, guys. Okay. Now I'll be adding my TestNG test here. Okay, navigating back, and here is my first positive test case, right? Cool. So I'll be just writing it here. Okay. So I'll create method and inside method I'll put it. Okay. Login. So this is valid login, right? This is the valid user login. Cool. This is what my first test case. See now. Okay, I'll be adding those my manual steps. Let's assume those steps were provided by manual keywords. Okay. So this is what my test case title, guys. Okay. So how we can define the test case title? Inside test, we do have description tag, right? So, and within this description tag, we can define our test case title. And also as login is the critical functionality, I'll be providing priority. And for now, I'll be setting the priority as 1. Also see, a lot many things we can set it up, but for now I just did provided 2 details to my test case. That is the description, test case title, and the priority. Cool. So now let's try to do the automation now. Let's get started. See, what is the first step? Open the page. But before opening the page, there are prerequisites, right? Like open the Chrome browser. So we'll be doing the prerequisite and later I'll try to write test case within the same class and later I'll refactor it to the project level. I'll refactor it to the different components. Okay. So for opening the page, I need a driver instance, correct? So I'll be just creating the driver instance. Cool. So see, I have created my driver instance. Now it's time to open the page, right? So I'll go here and surrounding to this test only, I'll try to showcase, how we can modify our project structure. Cool. So navigate back to the URL. So open URL. My first step is done. Cool. Assertions, I'll add it later. So next step is to type the username into username field, right? I'll navigate here. So I'll just try to find the XPath locators for this particular field. I'm sure guys, you know about the locators and different strategies, right? So here is the input tag and we do have a property that is the ID, right? So let me just write the XPath for it. Okay. So cool. This is what my XPath for username field. Perfect. I'll navigate back. I'll try to identify the element driver.findLocator by.xpath. And over here, I'll be passing my XPath. And to this particular field, I'll be providing my username, right? So cool. So what is the username? So student is the username. So I'll be sending username here. So this second step is also done. Now I'm much interested into the third step. I'll just copy paste the syntax. I'll not spend more time here, but yeah, locator is different, right? So if I go here, so you'll see ID is only changing. That is the password. Okay, so I'll just modify and it will target the password field, right? So let me just modify the locator here. Cool. So we did modified and let me just update the details. Perfect. So see, third step is also done. Now I'll be moving to click on submit button, right? Perfect. Let me just target it, submit button, and it also has the ID, right? Cool. So I'll just try to replicate this same code and providing the ID. Submit as a ID. Right, I think someone is added. Okay, fine. Okay, so I'll just try to copy syntax still here. Okay, and update the XPath. And now I'll just click in. I'll be clicking on it. Cool. You'll see all the four steps were done. Okay, element identification and then performing the action. So till the time validation is not done. Okay, cool. So now see what next step we need to do. We verify new page URL contains this particular URL. So we need to verify after user login, we need to verify this URL. So for that reason, I'll be capturing the URL, actual URL first, and then we'll be doing the validation. Driver.get current URL. Cool. So with the help of this syntax, I'll be getting the URL. And later, with the help of TestNG, we can do the assertions. Assert dot assert equals. Okay. I'll be comparing my actual URL. I'll be comparing my actual URL with what is expected. So from their, point, they're expecting this URL. So let me just show you here. So if I log in successfully, you'll see the URL changing this login successfully. So let me just pick the URL from there itself and provide it as expected. And you'll see we have added assertion at this particular step. What is the next step they are asking us? Like verify, new page contains this particular message, right? So let's navigate back and let's try to validate this message. If I go here and you'll see it is the P tag, and within this particular tag we have strong tag, and here is the text, right? So I'll just try to write the XPath. So this is what my P tag, let's say it is having the text. It should include this particular text. I believe it is the strong tag, right? Okay, cool. So do you see, guys, the tag name is strong, and I did tried identifying the element with the help of text. Okay, I'm just checking the exact match. So let me navigate here. What I'll do, I'll create the actual text is equal to driver dot find element by dot XPath, right? And I'll just try to provide the XPath here dot get text. Get text is the method which will help us to provide the text, and later we can add the assertion, guys. Assert dot assert equals. Okay, and here I'll provide the actual text and what is my expected text. So that text also I'll be providing it here. So I'll navigate back and I'll just try to copy my actual text. Sorry, the expected text here. Okay, cool. See, we did added two validations. First one done, second one done. Now we need to validate, verify button logout is displayed on the page. So let's try to identify the button here. So if I go here, here is the logout button, right? And it is the anchor tag basically. And if I scroll it here, you'll see the text written logout, right? We can use the text as well as other properties, but for now I'll be going with text. Let's assume. And this is the anchor tag basically. I'll be referring to text only. And I'm expecting the logout text. Perfect. I'm finding the element one on one. It means I'm able to identify it uniquely. So let me just get the element driver dot find element by dot XPath, right? I'll be providing my XPath here and I'll be just checking. Okay, so this is what my element, right? So let me just put it here, store this web element, and later I'll validate it is the web element, right? And this is the basically logout button, right? Logout button. Okay. Let's assume I did identify this element and I need to check for its assertions. So how we can do it? See, guys, Boolean. Okay, I'll just keep one flag status is equal to logout button dot is displayed. So there is a method, guys. Is displayed is the method which will check whether the element is displayed or not. As soon as element is displayed, it will return the true, right? And if element is not displayed, it will return the false. And now we can check with the help of assertions like assert true. Okay, we do have method that is assert row. We can simply check whether the button is visible or not. Cool. So this is how, see, we can add our test case within a single file and later we can refactor it. Okay, I'll be trying to showcase the traditional approach and how we can refactor this code to the project level. Cool. Perfect. Now let's try to identify. Let's see if there are certain issues while doing the execution. Perfect. We are expecting browser is launched. Okay. Username password is entered. Okay. Now till here, like two steps were done, but user is not logged in. And you'll see there is an error into the console. Okay, let's try to figure out what is the error. So do you see there is an error like, hey, no such element exception. And what is the element locator case? If I show you here, input @ID submit. It is unable to identify this locator. That is the submit button. So let me cross check what is the issue here. Okay, if I go here to the submit button, right? Okay, cool. And let me just copy the syntax here, navigate back. Okay, just let me log out and let me try to check here. Okay, I'll just remove this backslash. Okay. Okay, so do you see guys, I'm unable to identify it. Let me see what is the issue. If I go here, it is having the ID property. But what is the issue, guys? It is not input tag, right? So that is the issue. It is the button tag. So that is why it is failing. Cool. So let's try to update it. Perfect. So that was the issue. Okay. I just did copy paste this syntax. So that is why it caused the particular issue. Okay. Cool. So now I'll save the file and I'll just try to see. Currently we did identified it manually, but let's say if we have logger and everything, screenshots and all, it will be much easier to, identify the issues. Perfect. Cool. Do you see user is logged in successfully and our one test is also pass. Do you see our positive, like the test case one, which is the positive flow, done. Right. Cool. So this is how we'll be adding the code to a single file. Now it's time to refactor the code. Okay, cool. So how we can refactor the code? The first thing, let's say I would like to do invalid scenario. So in that case as well, I would be needing the driver instance. So this is the common part. Again, in that scenario also, I need to navigate to the URL. That is also a common part. Okay. And also these locators are also common for not negative scenarios, right? The assertion, that is fine. It totally depends on that test case, like whether it is a positive flow, negative flow. But there are certain, uh, certain lines of code which is going to repeat. So let me just show you maybe one negative test case here. And later I'll try to refactor it. So I'll go here. I'll just try to write the second negative test case. Okay. This is the second test case basically. Okay. So why it's okay. And I'll just try to provide the priority as 2. And this is the invalid scenario, right? Invalid user login. Cool. And over here, let me just cross check the steps. So we need to provide the incorrect username, okay? And everything rest of, okay, we need to provide the incorrect username. Password, we are providing it correct. Clicking on submit button and we are verify. Over here, we need to verify the message, error message instead of other success message, right? So what I'll do, okay. So I'll just remove these steps, okay, till here. Fine. See, and instead of correct username, I'll be just passing wrong username. Okay, I'll be just passing some random data as a username. Okay, so let me show you this scenario in the manual way first. So what will happen if I just provide the incorrect username here? So see, so you'll see a validation message. We need to make sure this validation message is displayed and it contains the particular text. So see, this particular message having ID, that is the error. So let's try to write the XPath for this one. It is the div locator, right? Div tag and ID. Do you see? I'm able to identify the element. Perfect. So let's try to capture it within our script. So there are two steps, right? We need to perform. So I'll just copy those steps here. Step number 5 and step number 6. Okay, fine. Verify error message is displayed. So I'll just try to identify the element driver dot find element by dot XPath. So let me just provide the XPath here. Cool. Okay, and we can add the assertions. Okay, so this is what my web element. This is the error message, right? Error message element, correct? Okay. So check whether the let me check the status whether error message is displayed or not. Is displayed is the method we can cross check, and we can add the assertion assert dot assert true, right? So status, we can cross check the status whether the element is displayed or not. In the next step, we need to verify the text message. This particular message we need to verify. So I'll be getting the actual message, actual text here from this element. Okay, error message get text. Cool. So see, I'll be getting the text, and then now I'll do the validation. Assert dot assert equals, right? And this is what my actual text. Okay. And what is my expected test for error message, guys? If I show you here, here is the error message, right? And here is the text. So I'm expecting this particular text to be feasible, right? Perfect. So this is how I did added second test case. And now we'll see here, there is a certain repetition. So let me just show you this second test case as well. Perfect. Do you see there is a validation message and our test second is also pass. Cool. Perfect. So if I compare the test case 1 and 2, you'll see till here, like my code is common, right? Let's say I'd like to write my further one more test case, another negative test case. I need to repeat all those steps, right? Till here, all the 4 steps were common. Only test data is changing. So that is why we would be needing framework. Okay. Why? Because certain piece of code is repeating multiple time in multiple test cases. So that is why it will be a bit headache. Let's say tomorrow the ID locator for your username field is changed. So we need to update it here. We need to update it here. So at all places we need to go and manually update it. So it will be a headache. Like, hey, go at all the places and try to update, right? It will be a bit more time consuming task. So for that reason only, for code reusability, framework simplicity will be modifying our code to the framework level. So first thing I'll be removing from these two steps, two test cases, that is open the Chrome browser. Okay, see, and I'll be putting it here itself. Okay, and there are other annotations like hey, before you know, there are multiple annotations. So for now, I'll be using it at individual test level. Before method public void. This is the open browser. Okay, open browser. I'll be adding one annotation that is open browser, and here itself I'll be opening my browser. Okay, inside before starting with actual discuss I would need a browser, right? So that step I'll be doing here itself. Okay, cool. And if I navigate out, now we'll see it is unable to identify this driver variable. Okay, so for that reason I need to create this variable at class level. Okay, I'll just keep it at class level so that all class methods will able to access it. Right now we'll see there is no issue. Perfect. Cool. So I have opened my browser. Also navigating to URL is a common thing. I'll cut from here and I'll put it inside here. Okay, open browser. Like I'll simply name it as open like init browser. Okay. This is just the browser initialization and entering the URL. So both the steps I have, removed from my actual test case. So let's say this is positive test case. I have removed from here as well. I need to remove from here as well. So there is no need, right? This is the second for negative login test. Cool. Let me just go and refactor the code. Okay, perfect. Cool. And now we'll see my code is reduced and the same piece of code will be, added before starting your test case. So now let me show you the execution for first valid test case. Still my test will pass. Now we'll see. So currently we are trying to, update our framework. They say my test is successfully executed. Cool. My test is pass. Similarly, if I go ahead with the second test case, you'll see before actual test, my before method will execute and it will just open the URL and it will perform all those scenarios. Perfect. Do you see? My second test is also successfully executed. So that is why it is very much important to understand what is the need of annotations, right? Cool. Perfect. And if I try to show you both the test case execution, I just need to click it here, run all. So now it will run both the test cases. Let's see. First test is done. Second test is done. Cool. So in the result, you'll see currently I need to manually close the browser. So it's a better way. Once the test is done, close it automatically. I'll add that code as well. Now you'll see two test cases were executed and both are passing, right? Cool. So similarly, like once the test is done after, once the test is done after method, like after, a particular test, I need to close the browser. Like I'll simply name it as quit browser. I need to close all the instance of browsers, right? So that is why I'll be referring to quit. Okay. So over here, what I'll do, I'll check if my driver is not equal to null. If my driver instance is not null, then only I'll close it. Okay, just to be safer side. Driver dot quit. You'll see. Now, if I try to execute both the test cases, you'll see one test. Once the test is done, it will close the browser. Once the second test case is done, it will close browser automatically. Cool. Do you see? First is done. Now second test case is also done. So likewise, we'll be, updating our framework, we'll be modifying our framework because we should be knowing what is the need of annotation, why we need to refactor the code, why we would need framework. We can write the code inside a single file, but the actual purpose of writing, particular methods, particular annotation, we should be knowing the use case. Okay, cool. So let's assume guys, today we did added the test class for the login test and we have done this, particular setup, right? But let's say tomorrow we like to go with the login page scenario. Again, same piece of code we would be needing. Okay, so let me just showcase the code repetition over here. So if I go here and I'll just try to log out test. I'll just try to add the logout test. Okay, cool here and perfect. So let's say I'll be adding my logout. Okay. So for the same test, okay, these prerequisites were needed, right? So if I go here, this particular, set of thing is also needed. If I go here, you'll see here for performing logout, I need to log in, right? So for that reason, from login test itself, I'll be, taking the code and I'll be just updating instead of writing it again and again. So I'll add my logout test here. If I go here, I'll just rename user logout test. Okay, cool. And I'll add my annotation here at the rate test. Perfect. Now you'll see. So over here, now we'll see I have added my logout test, right? So till here, I need those steps, right? Also the validation and all. Okay. Once the logout button is displayed, simply one step ahead, what I'll do, I'll click on it, right? Uh, So once the logout button is displayed, click on the logout button. Okay. Cool. Okay. Perfect. Great. See, and over here we already identified the logout button, right? I'll just simply click on it. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just try to execute the logout test and see. Okay, before that, let me just update the nomenclature. Test case, this is the logout test, right? Yep. So logout test, fine. I'll name it as test case 3. Initially, we did added two test cases, right? So over here, I'll just try to provide the description. Okay, test case 3 and priority, I'll provide it here as 3. Good. So let's execute now the third test case, that is the logout. Okay, first user will log in and then he'll click on logout button. Perfect. Cool. Do you see, guys? My logout test is done. But as soon like I have added another class, and for this particular test as well, you'll see this part is now repetition. Okay, before method, after method. Inside login test as well, you'll see before method, after method. So for each class, if I'm going to add the test, I'll be having this repetitive code. So my target is to keep it at one place and reuse it at multiple times. So for that reason only, inside the test package, we'll be adding a base test. We'll be adding a base test class, right? And within this base test class, what is the common for all the test cases? That stuff we are going to remove it from both the classes, and we'll be moving it here to the base test. Perfect. So like the initializing browser, navigating to URL, or maybe closing activity. So I'll be moving it to the best test, and then same best test with the help of principle of inheritance, right? I'm extending those functionalities in my login test. Do you see now? I do not need to have those dependencies in my class, right? So my test is now pretty simple and having only few test steps. So do you see entire code is removed from here? Similarly applies to logout test as well. I do not need to write it multiple times, so I just need to extend it here, and this is the principle of reusability and one of the OOPS concept, right? That is the inheritance, which promotes the code reusability. Right? Perfect. So do you see? My code is reduced now. I just need to identify element and do the validations. But still, guys, even if I have written the best test, my best code is here now. But still, if you see here, this locator identification and performing action is repetition. So for now, consider these three elements: the username field, password field, and submit button field, right? All the three fields are repeating in the both test cases. Even if I go down to the invalid scenario test case, you'll see all those repetitions. So my goal is to reduce this repetitive code and have it at one place. So for that reason only, we are following the page object model. There are different design patterns, guys. Okay. But in most of the projects will be following page object model. So for that reason only, we'll be creating the another packages. So let me close this And now let me navigate to src main Java. And over here, I'll be adding package com dot learn with DD dot. This is the pages, right? So it is saying it's already exist. Let me just cross check. Yes, it's already there, right? So I'll just create here first my login page. Okay. And later I'll create the logout page. So over here, you could see I have created my login page, right? I have created my login page. Now I'll go to the login test and I'll just try to remove all the three steps for now. Okay. I'll just try to copy and later I'll remove it. Okay. Perfect. So I'll go here to the login page. Okay. So see, there are three different locators: username, password, and submit button. So first I'll try to identify these locators using @find by. Okay. And using XPath. I'll be using XPath here, right? So I'll just copy this XPath and put it here as it is. Nothing special. Okay, cool. Okay, fine. So what I'll do, guys, I'll just use it here single quotes instead of double so that it won't cause any issues. I'll copy it here, right? And I'll name my web element. This is the web element and it is the username input, right? Perfect. Similarly, we do have three different elements. I'll just copy paste it here, syntaxes, and instead of username, it is the password, right? Cool. And okay, I'll just replace it here. This is the password input, and third one is nothing but your submit button. Cool. This is the submit button. Perfect. Great. You'll see I have identified all the three elements. Now it's time to add action for all those three elements. Okay, so I'll just comment this code for now. So I'll create first action for entering the username. Okay, I'll create the actions, or generally we call it as methods in the Java, right? So I'll create first method public void enter username, because same methods I'll be reusing it multiple places. So why not to have a method? So what is the purpose of adding method? Because we can write it once and we can call it at multiple times, right? So enter username, and basically we would be asking user to enter the details. So that is why I'll be making it as parameterized method. Perfect. So see here, I already have username field here. I'll go and I'll just provide the, I'll just perform the action, that is enter username. Cool. Do you see? I'm able to perform my action with the help of this element, right? Similarly, I'll do further action, that is enter password, enter username, enter password. So instead of username, I'll just name it as password. And the third method is to click on submit button, right? So third method name is click on submit button, right? And we do not want any data. So simply, this is what my second element, and this is what my third element, right? I just need to perform a click operation. Perfect. Do you see, guys? I have added three actions for all three elements. So we do not need this code. Perfect. So currently we did identify the element, also we did perform the actions. But over here, the more important part is, how this particular page, or, our system should know where are the element located, right? So for that reason only, will be for initializing those locator, will be creating the constructor function, right? Constructor basically, right? So constructor does the work of initialization. So over here, see, I'll be adding first thing that is needed, which is the WebDriver instance, right? Cool. So I'll be adding WebDriver instance, and see over here, I'll be following. So WebDriver, I'll be just adding driver instance here. I'll be passing my driver instance here. This driver is equal to drive. Okay. So as soon as I create the, object for my login page, it will help me to initialize my driver instance here. Okay. So it will do the initialization. Also for loading all the elements, I'll be referring to page factory, right? Page factory. I'll be referring to page factory. So over here, I'll be doing page factory dot init elements. Okay. Two things we need to pass here. First thing is the driver instance, and second, which is referring to the current class, right? Perfect. So this is how we'll be initializing the locators. It will help us to identify the locators easily, right? And different strategies we can implement. Currently, I'm referring to the XPath locator strategy. And over here, I have added my methods for performing action. Perfect. Now let's try to, now modify our login test. Now you'll see for this particular syntax, I do not need, I do not need this code itself. Okay. I can remove all the three steps. So I'll just remove this code line. Okay. Now over here, before starting with the interaction, we need to create the login page object, so that login page object, right? So that we can pass the driver instance there for initializing our locators. So let's have the login page constructor, and over here we'll be passing our driver instance. So that what will happen, as soon as we are going to execute our test case, it will pass the login instance from your base test. It will go to the login page, it will assign it here, and it will help to initialize the locator. So that is the main purpose, right? Cool. Now we can go ahead and we can refer to the login page instance, and we can call our method, hey, enter username, and whatever test data we'd like to pass, that we can pass it here. Do you see? Now we do have the usable method. We can use it for adding the, we can use it for adding the test steps. Perfect. So similarly, I'll be repeating now for a second. Login page dot enter password. Okay. Password 123. Right. Do you see now? Our code is much cleaner, right? We just need to perform the actions. Perfect. Similarly, I'll be performing here login page dot click. Click on submit button. Perfect. Do you see? Now I have modified my code, okay, to follow the page structure, right? So the similar code I'll be having for my negative test case, right? So if I go here, I can remove all these three steps. Currently, I do not need those, lengthy steps. So instead of this correct username, I'll be just passing my wrong username. Okay. Do you see, guys? The same method reusability is there, right? So this is the main purpose of having the framework in place. Cool. Do you see? Now the syntax are pretty straightforward and short, right? Perfect. Great. Now over here we are performing certain actions and doing validation. So that is the main thing. Okay. And see now over here within valid user login, right? We need to identify the logout button, right? So this particular logout button is from the, that particular screen. We need to have this element inside the logout pages, right? So for that reason, so depending on the, different UI components, we'll be creating the different pages. So currently here we are referring to the logout page, which is present on the home page, right? Once user is logged in, right, then we do have this one, right? So for that reason, I'll be adding here one more page class, that is the logout page, for example. Okay, instead of logout, I'll just name it as homepage. Okay, because it is the main homepage, right? And on the homepage itself, we do have logout button. So over here also, we need to follow the similar pattern, right? So for that reason, I'll be just copying the pattern and then I'll try to update it. So over here, you'll see we do not need this stuff, right? So we just need the logout button, right? Okay. So I'll try to update the code for logout button. So if I go here, you'll see this is the XPath for my logout button, right? Cool. So I'll just copy here and I'll just provide it here. This is what my logout button, right? And this is my home page. So let me rename it. Okay. And this code will be the same. Okay. Method only will change. Okay. So I'll just remove this. Instead of enter username, we can have method click on logout button. Okay. And we do not want to have the inputs. Here is the logout button and we can just modify it. Okay. So we can perform click operation here. Perfect. Do you see, guys? Within a shorter duration, we did modified our another page, that is the home page. So perfect. So our homepage class is also ready. Now let's go here to the login test, and instead of hard coding it, let's try to, uh, let's try to use it our class. This is the homepage class, right? Homepage, homepage is equal to new homepage. Cool. I'll be passing driver instance, and over here I'll just checking homepage dot click on logout button. So for now, you know, for now, let's assume, okay. So I'll be performing click operation only. We can also add the validation and all. Okay. So I'll be identifying element and I'll be clicking on logout button. If we like to have the assertions, so that assertions also we can do. So let's say we like to check whether the element is displayed or not. So that assertion, how we can add it? So we can go to our home page and we can have another method here, guys. Okay. Public void check if I can have method is logout button visible or maybe displayed. Okay. And over here, I'll be returning it true or false. Return logout button dot is displayed. Okay. So it will return true or false. So for that reason, I'll be changing type of my method as boolean, and you'll see the same method we can call it here. Okay. Instead of writing here, we can have home page dot our method name. Do you see? So likewise, we can have the reusable method and we can define it one time and we can use it multiple times. So likewise, I'll be adding a session. Now see, my code is much cleaner, guys. Okay. And this particular homepage instance, we can have it in top only so that we'll be able to reuse it multiple times. So cool. So this is how I did modified my login test, which will following my page object model. In the similar manner, we can have it into the negative test case as well. Okay. In the similar manner, we can have it in negative test case. Cool. So yes, similarly, this error message, which is again on the home page, we can do that validation, we can do the refactoring. But yeah, likewise, we'll be doing the refactoring for page objects. Now there is one more repetition, guys. Now let me show you what is the repetition in both the classes, login page and home page. If I go to the login page, you'll see this is the repetition. Okay, so you'll see this initialization is there. If I go here, here is also initialization. So this part is going to repeat for each and every class, because for each page we would need to have, page initialization. So for that reason only, over here within this package, we'll be having base page. So please try to understand what is the purpose and scope of work, why we are creating different classes. Okay, that is the main reason. See, and over here we'll be having our constructor public base page, right? And okay, and within this particular constructor, so let me have the WebDriver instance, WebDriver driver. Okay, and the repetition code, this is the repetition kind of thing, right? So I'll just remove it from here and I'll do initialization here itself. Cool. Okay, so perfect. Okay, and now if I go here inside my login page, I just need to extend my base page. That's it. So that is why we'll be doing, creating multiple pages, and we are just going to extend it here. So now it will complain here, right? So as we have already, have the instance, I'll be just setting my driver instance using super to my class. Okay. So I do not explicitly need to define it here. Okay. So there is no need of writing it here at each page level, right? I can simply pass my driver instance super. It means it will be referring to my base page only. Cool. And over here, if we like, we can have this initialization here. Okay. Web drive. So at this level, we can have initialization. Now, do you see my this code is also reduced a bit, right? Similarly, I can go to my home page as well, and I do not need to write this code here as well. Simply one line will work, and I'll just remove this one and extend the best page here. Extends best page here. Cool. Perfect. Do you see? I have refactored my code at framework level on the page objects model. I have added my best pages and all. And now we'll see we do not need page factory setup at all the page levels. We have added it one single best page level. Perfect. And now if I close everything, and now if I go to my login test and still I try to execute, you'll see both my tests will execute successfully. Let's see. This is how guys will be doing step by step, automation will be refactoring code and will be adding more and more feature to our framework. Okay, cool. So currently my test got failed. Why? Let me just cross check. DC now, as we have modified at the framework level, now we'll be facing issues like, hey, there is a no such element exceptions, and we are unable to identify this locator. So do you see the locator submit button having the tag name as button, right? But that is the incorrect. So that is why it's failing. Let me see at what location it is failing. Okay. So basically in the page, now we can easily identify, hey, where is the locator for login? So it's present here. We can easily navigate. At one place we can replace, fix, and the issue will be resolved at all the places. Now we'll see my both tests will run successfully. Okay. So now let me navigate back and try to show the execution. In the previous approach, in the regular, traditional approach, I need to fix it at all the location. So that will be again an overhead, right? So that is the beauty of framework. That is why we would be needing framework. Perfect. So still one test case is passing, one is failing. Let's see why it is failing. Let's try to figure it out. Now this time it is unable to find this locator. And what is the exception? No such element exception. In case of positive login test, it is unable to identify this logout button. See guys, now this issue is due to the synchronization. My script is running very fast, but the browser may not respond within that time. So that is why it is causing issues. So I need to add, I need to solve issues for synchronization. So for that reason, what we'll be doing basically, while doing performing any action within page. So let's say currently it is failing on the home page, I believe. Okay. While identifying that logout button, right? So over here we do have logout button. So currently let's assume user trying to log in. Before that it is trying to identify this element. So that is why it is causing issue. It is basically called as synchronization issues. And in order to handle such issues, we would need a waiting mechanism, right? So for that reason, now I'll be adding a manual mechanism here. Okay. So let's assume I'll be okay. Instead of here, I'll go to my test. Okay. And this is what my logout button, right? So over here, okay. Over here, I'll just add the manual wait and I'll try to showcase. It will fix my issue. So I'll just wait for 3 seconds. Okay. And now I'll try to re-execute the test. Now we'll see. Let's see if issue is resolved or not using manual, pause. Okay, it will wait for 3 seconds and then it will close the browser. Perfect. Still, the second test is failing, I believe. The valid user. Okay, so there is no such locator logout. Still, it is unable to identify that button. Why? Let me just cross check. Okay, at what place it is failing? Okay. Do you see if there are no logs, I need to figure it out manually. Okay. So basically it is failing at logout button itself. Okay. And it is again like still even if we have added manual wait, it is not solving our purpose, right? So now let me go ahead and add the implicit wait first, and then inside best test while doing the browser initialization, what I'll be doing, see driver dot timeout driver dot manage dot timeouts dot I'll be adding a global wait basically. Okay, so implicit wait duration dot of seconds, right? I'll be adding duration in second. Let's say wait for 30 seconds. Wait if element is visible, okay, then only perform operation. So I did add an implicit wait here. Now let me try it here. So I'll be trying multiple ways, whether it is helping me in or not. If not, then only I'll be going with explicit approach. Let me see. Okay, the first test is done. Do you see? Now it is waiting to, waiting for that element, I believe. Okay, and it will fail. So if element is not found, okay, currently it is just waiting for that timeout. Still my test is going on. It will wait for 30 seconds. Okay. So the second test is good. See, do you see? Still my test is failing. Okay. Which test is failing? The positive login test is failing, I believe, right? A valid username test is failing. And at what location it is failing? Again, it is failing at logout location only. So let me see file user scenario. Okay, cool. So till here it is passing successfully, but at this location it is failing. Is logout button visible? Okay, at this location it is failing. Why, guys? Because like I'm clicking on logout button and then I'll be checking the assertions. So that is why it is failing basically. Okay, so there is a syntactical, sorry, our logical mistake basically. Okay, so that is why it is unable to solve that issue. Now let's try. See, it will happen, guys. Okay, we need to make sure we are understanding the framework well, we are understanding the basics well, then only we'll able to figure out what is the issue. Okay. Now it will wait for that timer. Perfect. Do you see? My test is successfully passed. And now if I try to execute it one more time, both the test cases, it will pass. Cool. We'll continue 15 more minutes, guys, and then we'll close the session and we'll continue further more. Okay. Perfect. First test is done. Perfect. Great. Do you see, guys? There was a logical mistakes as well as sometimes there could be a synchronization issues. So we can handle them accordingly. So for now, I'll be removing my this particular timer. Okay. And cool. Still it will work. Okay. Perfect. So this is how we'll be doing the code refactoring, guys. Okay. Perfect. Good. So I'll close now. Now let's say our base framework is ready. Okay. So we do have pages, right? And we do have the test classes, right? So let's assume we like to have our utils in place. Let's say we like to have the screenshot on failure. We like to have, screenshot. So for that reason, I'll be creating one class and I'll be naming it as screenshot util. So let me show you the purpose of util files. And over here, I'll be adding a method public static void capture screenshot. Okay, I'll be just adding simple method to capture the screenshot. Fine. And for this particular method, I'll be taking one parameter web driver, and second thing the file name basically. File name, I'll be having the file name here. Okay, and we'll be writing our code for capturing the screenshots. Right, we would be needing text screenshots, right? Okay. So let me just bring this snippet here. Okay. So instead of wasting time, I'll be going to the, okay, Java Selenium screenshot util method code only. Fine. I'll just copy the code. Okay. Okay. Just to save time. Okay. Cool. So see, screenshot util we have added. It is taking the screenshot and it is taking two parameters. One is WebDriver instance. Second one is the file name, right? It is going to create the path where it is going to store the screenshots, and it is going to capture the screenshots and it will just store at that location, right? So currently we are not more interested in internal code, right? We are trying to understand the framework, how framework works, right? So now let's assume I need to capture the screenshot. Okay, now I'll navigate back to my test. Let's say this is what my login test. Okay. So let's assume, okay, so my test is going to fail, okay, and then I need to capture the screenshot. So for now over here, at this location, we do have status, right? Is logout button visible? If it is true, it means my test is pass. If it is going to return false, it means my test is failing, right? So I'll have the logic here. See, if status is equal to false, if my status is false, it means my test is going to fail, right? So for that reason, I'll be capturing my screenshot here. See, screenshot util dot text screenshot, and two parameter I'll be passing it here. One is the driver instance and second one is the test case name. Basically, what is my test case name? Valid user login, right? So I'll just pass the file name as valid user login test case. Cool. So this is how, see, if my test is going to fail, then only I'll be capturing screenshot. Else I do not need screenshot, right? So purposefully, let me show you the failure case. Okay. Let's assume logout button is visible, but what I'll do, I'll just modify this code. Like it will try to identify using wrong locator and it will fail, definitely fail, right? Now let's see how it will capture the screenshot. Okay, what is the use case of util files basically? Let's wait. Okay, see, now in reality, logout button is visible, but in the code we did modify the XPath, right? That is why it will wait for 30 sec. It will try to identify using that custom XPath. And if element is not visible, it will just fail. As it is going to fail, it will capture the screenshot. We are more interested into the screenshot, right? Perfect. Let's see now. Okay, it will wait for 30 sec of delay. Perfect. Do you see? My test is failed, right? And if I go up, you'll see there is one console error, right? Like it is unable to identify locator. We already know, hey, this locator is not valid, right? But we are more interested into the screenshot. Let's see whether we have screenshot or not. Okay. If I go at framework level, okay, so let me just update the project to see if folder is added. Okay. Okay, let me see what is the location basically. Okay. So the screenshots folder, there should be a folder named called as screenshots, right? And then screenshot name. Perfect. Okay. Cool. Let me just cross check. We do not have folder here, right? So let me just go to the system level and check if we have folder or not. Okay, I'll go at project level. Okay. So I think we do not have screenshot folder. It is not created yet. Okay. So let me just cross check. Let me go to the login test, right? So over here, and it is going to return some path. Okay. Let me just capture the path and print it here. for now, just for debugging purpose. Okay. I'll go here. I'll try to re-execute. Okay, so for now, what I'll do, guys, I'll just make a shorter delay of maybe 2 seconds only. Okay, so that it will fail quickly. See, guys, debugging is also an important skill when it comes to the automation. So yeah, understanding the basic concepts is very much important. Okay, it will just fail due to that issue, right? So I'm interested in seeing the path basically. Okay. So cool, it is failing before that itself. So let me add debugger here. So why we do not have the, you know, why the screenshot is not captured basically. Okay. Let me add debugger, and over here we do have debug options, right? So I'll just go to the debugger. Okay. Okay. So currently I'm still here. If I go, because let's say I'm going inside the code, you'll see here I'm inside this particular method. Till here execution is done, right? So I'll be navigating back here. Okay. Now you'll see, okay. Okay, let me step it over. Let me, do you see now my test is failed, okay? Because it is unable to identify the locator basically. That is why it is not moving further, okay? At that particular step only, it is failing. So let me just move, let me just continue and show you what is happening, why it was failing actually. Okay, it will run second test, it will pass. That is not an issue. But our first test is failing, okay? So that is more concerning to us, right? So I'll just close this debugger. I'll go here. I'll close all the things. I'll navigate to the test, login test. See what is happening here. At this line only, it is failing, okay? While going here and while identifying the issue, it is failing here itself. So better way, what we can do, how we can capture this screenshot. See, there is a one more better option, okay? So I'll go here on the test level. I'll add the try and catch block, okay? And inside the catch block, I'll have my screenshot, you know, screenshot method basically. So if there is any sort of exceptions, please go ahead and capture the screenshot. So that logic I'll implement on the method level itself. Okay, cool. So I do not need to worry. Source and just format it. Okay, perfect. See, if my test is going to fail, it means it will return certain exceptions, right? And when there is exceptions, I'm just capturing the screenshot. Now let's observe. Let's try to do the execution. Okay. Okay, user is logged in, but there will be no. Do you see, guys? Now my test is like passing here. Why? Because even if my test is failing, like I'll be capturing the screenshot. Okay. So do you see? I'm more interested into the screenshot. My screenshot is captured at screenshots, and this is what my location. So now let me just refresh the project. Perfect. Do you see at what location it is failing? It will just show the screenshot. Perfect. Do you see, guys? My at this particular step only user failed, right? The test execution is failed and screenshot is captured. Perfect. So this is how we'll be adding our screenshot details and we'll be doing the further validation. Perfect. So this is how we'll be improving our project. In upcoming session, I'll discuss about adding logs and adding reports. Okay, and let's see, depending on time, we'll discuss about the pipeline. Okay. So for now, till here, cool. Any questions?